Hi there and welcome back to the Smart English Coach podcast. I'm Claire and in this episode I want to talk about the importance of focus in your English learning. Some of the comments I got from the Advanced English Summit was that there was a lot of advice, lots of strategies, lots of talks, lots of people to follow. It almost became a little bit too much. So it became almost overwhelming. Who should you follow? Which advice should you take? So I thought I would share with you something that one of my students does to avoid the overwhelm. And I think what he does is so smart that I wanted to share it with you. And this is his strategy. So his main thing is to decide on the most important priority, decide on the biggest focus. Now for him, his biggest focus right now is fluency because he wants to do the speaking part of an exam. And then the next thing that he suggests is that everything that you do, so all the activities you choose, all the types of learning that you do are focused on this one priority. So if your priority, for example, is speaking, then all the activities that you should do should be linked in some way to speaking and fluency. For example, you can record yourself speaking and then listen to the recordings. You can start conversations with other people. You can shadow actors on television, for example, or you can just have a conversation with yourself. You can also bring in other skills. And again, what my student does is really, really smart. So he records himself speaking and then he writes down everything that he says. He then checks what he's written so that he can improve his vocabulary and he can improve his grammar. Now, there are various tools that you can use for this. You can use Grammarly, or you can use your email editor even, or you can just paste your text into ChatGPT and ask it to correct your English for you. But I think it's a really smart strategy to bring in other skills to help you with your main focus. Now, of course, this might sound really easy and obvious to you, but how do you choose your main focus? So it could be something immediate, like you have a speaking exam or you have an interview, for example. Or it could be that you assess your English yourself and you decide which is the skill you most need to work on. So maybe it could be speaking, or it could be reading, or it could be to improve your vocabulary, or you want to understand films, for example, but you can assess yourself the most important thing for you to do. And then, of course, you need to choose activities that will help you to improve that one area. So my student has decided that one of his speaking activities is to start a conversation with other people. Now, this isn't an easy thing to do, especially if you aren't very confident. So sometimes when you choose activities, you also need to change the way that you think about them. So if you think, okay, starting a conversation is going to be too difficult, reframe the way you think. Instead of thinking, oh, I can't do it, I just don't have the confidence, say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to try it and I'm going to see what happens. Maybe it won't actually be that difficult. Or you could say to yourself, right, there's a really big thing for me to do right now, so I'm going to limit how often I do it. Maybe I'll only try and start conversations 2 or 3 times a week, and then I will gradually increase how often I do this activity. Because often with difficult things, the more frequently you do it, the easier it becomes. And maybe the biggest question of all is, how do you know if you are improving? How do you know that you're getting results? Something you can do for yourself is to set yourself a time limit. So something like speaking and fluency, you can say, right, I'm going to try these activities for 2 or 3 months and then see what happens at the end of those 2 or 3 months. For example, am I speaking with more fluency? I mean, fluency is not always something which is easy to measure, but you can decide, is it easier for me to find the words? Is it easier for me to find the phrases? Am I speaking with less hesitation? Or even, are other people commenting on how much more fluent I am? So of course you can get results from other people as well. And of course, for my student, it's, am I scoring higher on the practice exams, for example? And if you find that at the end of this 2 or 3 month period, you are seeing results, you are improving, then you can say, great, fantastic. Now I'll move on to a different focus. I will change my priority and work on another area of English. And again, you need to decide, what is my area of focus? And then what activities am I going to choose which are linked to that area of English? I really hope that you found this episode useful. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss another episode, and I'll see you soon.